to another Process 23 presentation where we help you build the DNA of your business. I'm Andy Goldsmith, and today I want to talk to you about forecasting. Have you ever had a month so great only to be followed by an incredibly dismal month? Have you ever had months so busy that you feel like the wheels are going to fall off the bus and the next month you're washing floorboards in the hallway? I have. And I learned that I hated it. What I wanted to do was create consistency in my business and my income. So I adopted the concept of forecasting. What made a difference was the science and the modeling behind it for me. And I don't mean like the weather. When you look at the weather, it's quite fascinating and actually very scientific, despite the fact that they can actually be wrong often. Meteorologists utilize scientific and mathematical models to predict weather patterns. We all know it's not consistently accurate, but it's still the most watched portion of the news. So people obviously place a lot of value in that. So how can we apply this idea of mathematics and science to our own business? By simply utilizing the data we already have and applying it to our businesses in a scientific way. You ready to roll up your sleeves? Okay, let's break it down a little bit and look at your sales forecast. For the process, you're going to need data from your business over the last 3 to 5 years. The more data you have, the better. You're going to want to have P&L statements, production reports, and possibly balance sheets, depending on how detailed you want to get. And it's probably best if you have historical data. So going back anywhere from 3 to 5 years, depending on the age of your practice. You'll want to know what you produced each month. What was happening each month. For example, if anything influenced the numbers that month, like you took a long vacation or you went to a big CE event, or maybe there was a huge winter storm where you were closed for 2 or 3 days, or a big hurricane, something like that. You'll want to know that information if you saw a big dip in the numbers that month. You'll also want to know the new patient flow per month, the treatment dollar presented each month. So how much money you actually presented, what was presented in treatment plans that month. The types of treatment trends, for example, do you do more cosmetic procedures in December or January? Do you see an increase in implants before the summer months? Those sorts of things would be interesting to know because that can influence your forecasting when you put it all down on paper. You'll also need to know what your plans are for the next year. I know that this can be tough, but when you do this, it creates massive consistency for your practice and you will absolutely love it. You don't have to plan where you're going for vacation next year, but if you know that your kids have spring break and you're gonna take that time off, then block it in that month, March, April, May, whenever it is, and then you know that you're gonna be gone for a week. That way you can plan for it accordingly. Also, you need to know if you're taking any CE or if you're planning any special events over the next year. Let's break it down a little bit more. The month of January is usually very productive, and we usually see a 7 to 10% dip in production or sales in the month of February. Just like a meteorologist knows that the month of March brings the most snow to the Colorado Rockies, we also know that we're going to see certain trends occur throughout the year. So what we want to do is plan for those dips and peaks accordingly. If we know that March is going to be 2 to 5 times more productive than January, then we should plan for that. We should plan our personnel, we should plan for supplies, we should plan for our marketing. Maybe we market a little differently going into February so that we can help bump up February or even the playing field throughout the months. During this process, we have a year at a glance calendar, one of the big ones that you put on the wall that shows the entire year. Write in all the things that we know are going to happen. If we know that we're going to take off 2 days in February to attend the Chicago Midwinter meeting, then we plan for that. If we have a family reunion in August, it goes on the calendar. If our primary assistant is going to be on vacation in June, we put that on the calendar as well. Any days that the hygienists are going to be gone goes on the calendar as well. Anyone's pregnant and plan on taking maternity leave, on the calendar. We need to have something that we can look at, especially if it affects our production or the core of our team. So a month at a glance calendar is going to be important. Once that's all filled out, I keep that in a place where everyone can see it. If you have a place where your team assembles at lunchtime, or you have a team locker room, or even just the back door, I put it in a place like that so everyone can see it and everyone knows what's going on. Okay? From this point, we start to overlay the dates with the data. We consider the trends, but we look at reality. Consider the trends, but look at reality. We entertain optimism, but only if optimism is a planned event. This is not the time to be unrealistically optimistic. This is the time to be very pragmatic when you're looking at the numbers. Forecasting is not necessarily a crystal ball unless you're a startup, in which case there's going to be some unknowns. The numbers don't lie, so lean on them. Plan for growth only if you have a growth strategy. And if that's the case, then going into your growth strategy, going into your marketing, you need to make sure that you have a strategic marketing plan. What forecasting forces you to do is to not just rub that crystal ball and guess what you're going to produce each month. It allows you to pick those numbers based on past trends. Look at the growth curves that are occurring in your office. Look at the economy, but then also plan strategically for what it is that you want as an outcome in your practice. Make sure that if you plan on having a marketing campaign, that you also have a robust advertising strategy to support that, and so on and so on. So this will force you to walk the walk and walk the talk in your practice. I helped a group practice with this strategy and had them create a forecast. It was almost as if it was written in stone. They lived by it. If a doctor decided last minute to go to a CE course and block out 2 days at the end of the month, he knew that that was going to affect his numbers. So what he did was, as soon as he knew that he was blocking out those 2 days to go to that CE event, he told his team, we've got to make up for this. I said I would produce $8,000 a day for these 2 days. We've got to make up for it. We've got 8 days to do it, so we need to do at least $1,000 more a day every day before I leave. So they lived by it. And that's what you need to do as well. You can still take time off, but you need to plan for it accordingly. And like I said, have a strategy in place to support that. They would make adjustments to their strategies in order to hit the numbers at all times. Needless to say, their year went much smoother, and they could plan accordingly for future events. As a part of this program, I'm including for you an Excel spreadsheet as a download to help you with forecasting. It's very generic at this point, so you can add more categories as needed. And some of you may not be super familiar with the spreadsheets. What I would recommend is that you get someone on your team who can get familiar with it. Ideally, it would be your office manager. That person should be the person that's maintaining this and keeping track of your forecast. This is something you're going to review on an ongoing basis. And if you put it in an Excel spreadsheet, it becomes a live document. What you can do is refer to it at any time, and it'll tell you exactly where you're at on as far as your target for year to date, month to date, so on. It'll tell you how far you are from hitting your goals, and how far ahead you are of your goals. Dentistry can already be too hectic. It can very often be fly by the seat of your pants. Plan for the future. Structure your practice around your life and the flow of business. You can do this, and it's a worthwhile event. Engage in it. Thank you so much, and make today great.